Oh, hello everybody. My name's Matt. I'm a co-founder of Success by Process. I'm just decided I'd do our first ever video log. Just why not? Let's get this thing started. So what I want to talk about today is basically why I think improving your communication ability is so important. Now, what I'm going to do is break this down and explain my thought processes on it. So what I'm going to use is this thing basically called first principles. Now, this is used primarily by engineers and physicists and those type of people. Engineers, it's the process of breaking a concept down into its most fundamental parts. So engineers might break down into raw materials and build up from there their ideas. Physicists might break all the way down to the atomic level or subatomic level and build a concept up from that. So I'm going to try and do a similar process using the communication and from one person to another. So the first thing I'd like to talk about basically is how complex the process of communication actually is. When you think about it, the first thing you have to do, say you come up with a concept or idea in your head, what this basically is a bunch of tiny electrical signals firing between your neurons in your brain through your neural network. So what happens in your brain is you have inside your brain basically shapes and feelings that will come from this to create your concept or idea that only you can see. Nobody else can see what is going on exactly in your brain except for you, because you're the one who processes those neural electrical impulses. So that's a complicated thing in itself. So that's how the idea or concept is formulated within you. The next step, I think, in the communication process is compression and change. So those shapes and feelings have to be changed and compressed into verbal language. So this is a really, really big change of a subject from one form, which is neural electrical signals in the form of, I guess, shapes and feelings, pictures in your brain if you're lucky, into spoken word. So it's changing one source of thought into spoken word. That is very complicated. That alone has a lot of potential for loss of information. So there's so many things. You can't convey exactly what you're seeing in your brain through spoken word. There's no way. So this has to be compressed into spoken word. And then what must happen is transfer of information through spoken word, through body language, through minute facial expressions that you make to another person. So that transfer is, in the sense, everybody communicates verbally and physically in a different way. So your communication style of verbal and physical communication is different to your friends, your colleagues, another person. So you have to send this through the air using sound waves, light waves, and the person on the other end who's receiving, the receiver, is the next step. So they've got to listen to you using their ears. They've got to watch you using their eyes to pick up tiny, minute facial expressions you make that can change the context of that information you're passing. Sounds you make, tonality in your voice, everything, cadence, how quickly you speak will change the meaning that person receives in that information. So again, another big potential loss of information through this transfer of information. The next part we're talking about is, the receiving part. So this, again, a big potential for loss of information through, for example, outside noise. A dog could be barking, so you might miss a key sound that the person is trying to make. You might look away at exactly the wrong time and miss a facial expression which might convey sarcasm or an emotion like that or feeling like that. So there's another. And then the final part of this is really you have to unpack and decipher this information that the other person is trying to send. So while you're watching them and while you're listening to them, your brain is working at a very high rate to unpack this and for you to personally understand this message that they're trying to send to you. Again, a very complex task that your brain has to undergo, listening, watching, unpacking all at once. And the final step is all of this information has been transferred to you. You've got to create that image in your head of what that concept or original idea was the other person was trying to convey. So you're creating this structure in your head while watching and listening So there's so many steps in this process, from that original idea to where the original person had to compress that idea, then transfer it through speech and body language to the receiver, who then had to hear it, see it, without any complications like outside influence affecting it, and then compress it, or I guess expand it, into their own head, into neural signals. And this is a large process. So the result, I think, is so many opportunities for information loss in this process. For me, it makes a huge amount of sense to become as efficient as possible at every step in this process. So that is the ability to convey your message that's in your brain to somebody else eloquently, with verbal dexterity and clear and concise body language that can eloquently convey your principal idea to somebody else. And also the ability to read them and understand that the person on the other end of your message can hear and actively listen to what you're trying to convey. So your ability to understand that they have understood and interpreted your message how you were trying to convey it is another part of communication. So I think all of these things combined, this is fundamentally, for me, I feel communication is what builds society. Everything around us, civilizations are built on communication. It is the core principle thing that builds up everything around us. You talk to your bosses, you talk to your friends, your colleagues. Everything communicates with each other. Computers communicate between each other using different mediums. Animals communicate using body language and sounds. Humans communicate using body language, sounds, voice, tone. It's a very complex process. So to become a master, or just a little bit better at this process, is clearly going to be incredibly advantageous to you as a person in your life. This, I think, in summary, is why I wanted to make this video. I thought it'd be really prudent to talk about the advantages of refining and getting better at the process of communication. So I hope you've taken some ideas from this little video I thought I'd put together today. I hope it's triggered a few sparks in your brain, and I hope our team can help you, aid you in the advancement of your own abilities in many ways. We've got a lot of ideas that we're putting together. We're going to share these with everybody in the World Wide Web and face-to-face and everything. And we just want people to become better at all aspects of communication. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. And if you did like this video, if you took something from it today, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button down the bottom. I'd also massively appreciate a like. So if you can click that little thumbs up button, that's really good for the algorithms on YouTube and all the social medias that we've got. It'd massively help us spread our message to as many people as we can. The whole idea of this is to get this information out to the largest demographic possible. And when you get the likes and the subscriptions, basically the social media services spread your message further and further. So thanks again for tuning in. I'll make plenty more videos like this. You'll be hearing from me again. Have a really good day.